Good evening once again to all of you out there. Welcome to the Shadow Gallery. I am, as always, your host, James Donnelly. And tonight, before we do comics, we're going to do a quick review of Batman Year One, DC Universe's new animated film. Now, this was, once I heard about it, became quickly my most anticipated of all of the projects that they've done at DC Universe Animated. Because it was going to be pretty much a direct translation of the Batman Year One comic, obviously made so well and so famous by Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli. Batman Year One is my favorite comic of all time. I know it was, it's four issues that actually were not a separate entity from the Batman comic. They actually came out. It's like 405 through 408, and it helped redefine Batman in ways that still resonate to this day. Now, as far as the voice cast, let's just start with that. And as most everybody knows, this is pretty much not the story of Batman, but is more the story of Lieutenant James Gordon, who actually, I believe, actually starts out as a lieutenant in this, which I think that he started out as, in the comics he's a sergeant. Although I might be wrong. I might be wrong that he started out as a lieutenant in this. I honestly wasn't keeping track. But anyway, so we got Bryan Cranston, obviously, who's doing an amazing job right now as Walter White on Breaking Bad. You got Eliza Dushku playing Selina Kyle / Catwoman. You've got Katie Sackhoff playing Sarah Essen. You've got John Polito, who most people will know from The Crow or Miller's Crossing, one of my favorite gangster movies of all time, as Commissioner Loeb. You've got Alex Rocco, who, if memory serves, played Mo Green in The Godfather. And I think I'm forgetting someone. I feel like I'm forgetting someone. And then Ben McKenzie of the OC, if memory serves, doing the voice of Bruce Wayne / Batman. Now, I get that they wanted to get someone younger than Kevin Conroy to voice the young Bruce Wayne / Batman. It just seemed like a bit of a miscast. I think they could have gone with somebody else who could do, kind of the gravelly voice a little bit better. Because when you hear him do the gravelly voice, it's a little wimpy sounding. So I wasn't too keen on that. But everybody else was really good. Katie Sackhoff doesn't have a whole lot to do as Sarah Essen, but like I said, most of the work here is Bryan Cranston's, and that's where it really shines, is when it does focus on him. The animation is great. It's great to watch Mazzucchelli's art really come to life. But my main problem with this is it almost could have been a motion comic. I'm glad that it wasn't, but it almost could have been. And the reason why is that they dropped a lot of the internal monologue that is so crucially important to the comic itself. When you drop Bruce's internal monologue and you drop a lot of Gordon's internal monologue, it lacks something. It lacks the descriptive power that is just not conveyed quite as well through animation. I think that they hoped that this would be better than than it is, and which is not to say it's not good. It's a solid piece of work. Obviously, if it's pretty much being done word for word from from Miller's writing and Mazzucchelli's drawings, you can't really screw it up too badly. But you know, they kind of toned some things down. They left some stuff out. You know, it's 64 minutes. That's including the credits. So I mean, this is a very short entry as far as this is concerned. I mean, they could have easily have extended this a little bit longer and included more of the internal monologue. I guess they wanted to surprise some viewers, like, for instance, like what, you know, Kirkman and company are doing with the Walking Dead television program, which is brilliant, not only because it's such a good show, but because it does deviate from the comic book, so it does, things are, you know, things are less predictable for those of us who have read the comic. So, you know, I can kind of understand where they're coming from. Again, you know, Bryan Cranston, you know, as Gordon really does shine. You know, he does some great work, and but you know, ultimately, it just doesn't resonate nearly as much as it should, and that's due to the loss, like I said, of a lot of the internal monologue. As far as the extras on this, it does give a preview of Justice League Doom, which is another thing that I should say, really looking forward to until I found out how they're kind of. It's based on JLA's Mark Waid's JLA run, his story arc called Tower of Babel, which is basically where Batman, being the, you know, paranoid futurist, not futurist, but the contingency man. He plans for everything, and basically he's created a plan in which, if in a universe where there are robot duplicates or clones or mind control, what if one of the members of the Justice League went rogue? And basically, you know, Batman creates all of these countermeasures, essentially, to take them down, not lethally, but to stop them from doing whatever it is that they're doing that's bad. What was cool about that is that it was entirely on Batman and on Ra's al Ghul. It was Ra's al Ghul's plan that also Talia helped to set up, but in this iteration of this tale, it's Vandal Savage and a bunch of other supervillains. So to me, that just felt a little. I'm not quite so sure that, you know. Again, I know they want to keep it fresh, they want to keep it interesting, but at the same time, they did such an excellent job with Batman Under the Red Hood. You know, adapting that. And that's probably my favorite of the DC Universe animated projects thus far. That it's like, why screw with something that's good? Or maybe they felt that Judd Winnick's work wasn't that good, and somehow they improved on it. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of that storyline, but I love that. I actually loved the movie. It was better than it deserved to be, I guess. But anyway, so there's that special feature. There's also the Catwoman short, which is written by Paul Dini, which I think they almost should have left off of this, because there's such a discussion right now with the New 52 and, you know, the kind of hypersexualization of certain female characters. This just just kind of fans the flames of that discussion, and which is good. And, you know, ultimately, Lauren Montgomery, who's one of the co-directors of Year One and has been a director of many of the DC Universe animated projects, directed this short. So, you know, but it's written, you know, again, it's written by a male. It's written by Paul Dini, and this is kind of, you know, a man's kind of more fetishistic view of Catwoman as a character. That she is, that basically she is, this kind of walking sex appeal machine. That also is very dangerous and deadly. And I don't know if there's anything really wrong with that inherently, but it just seemed like, because of all of this discussion right now about the New 52, about the hypersexualization of women, maybe my own mind got a little bit too caught up in the semantics of it. So it just felt like it left something to be desired. However, it's still well done. It's very well animated. It's definitely more adult than I thought it would be. But, has a PG-13 rating for Batman Year One, so what the hell? Why not make it a little more adult? However, the best extra that's on this is basically it's Michael Uslan, who has been an executive producer on every film version of Batman since Tim Burton's Batman, who is a huge fan of Batman, of course. He's executive producer on this as well. If I'm reading, yes, he is. And he knows issues to like the number. It's crazy. It's crazy scary how much this guy knows about Batman. And he's having a sit-down conversation. It's about 40 minutes long with Dennis O'Neil, who basically revitalized Batman in the late 60s and early 70s, taking him from the Caped Crusader to the Dark Knight Detective. Dan DiDio, or Dan DiDio, whatever, who's EIC now of DC Comics, and Scott Snyder. As those of you who watch my videos know that I have a very heterosexual love for Scott Snyder. He's just a brilliant writer, and he does excellent work and does some amazing work with Batman. Probably the best work and most consistent work that I've seen on the character since Frank Miller. And they kind of discuss, their own views of Batman, and how Frank Miller influenced Batman for future generations. And they kind of discuss their own favorites of the Batman stories, and it's a really interesting conversation. It's kind of cool to be a fly on the wall where you're looking at basically a living legend like Dennis O'Neil, talking about his experience working on Batman as both a writer and an editor, and Dan DiDio talking about his own moments, and then Scott Snyder reflecting on his own work with Batman and his own contributions and his own favorites. So that's a really cool conversation to watch, and if for no other reason, I recommend taking a look at the Blu-ray or the 2-disc special edition for that extra. And there's some other stuff on here. There's episodes of, there's Chapter 1 of Batman Year One as a digital comic. Not a motion comic, but a digital comic. It has, a bunch of, it has the commentary, so on and so forth. So, as a whole, the film, good. I would say about an 8 out of, about a 7 out of 10. The Catwoman short, I would give about a 6 out of 10. The bonus features, I would give about a 9 out of 10. So again, it's worth it definitely to see it if you're a fan of the comic and you want to see what's going on. How well they did with this, or in parts that they missed. So, love to hear your thoughts, love to hear your feedback, love to hear your input. Subscribe, thumbs up, thumbs down. Let me know. I'll be around. So, Shadow Gallery signing off for now. Take care.